Welcome back to Ronin Recap. Now on to the next chapter.
Chen Wei had worked at Yinshan Mall for several years, so he was extremely familiar with everything here. After a while, he led a large group of security guards and arrived at the door of KK clothing store. When Pan Zhengyang saw them from afar, he waved at them and shouted, "Brother Wei, over here. I'm here." As he spoke, he looked at Lin Fan with an extremely cold gaze. It was as if he was saying, "Kid, you're gonna die later." Sun Xiaohong's face was swollen like a pig's head, but when she saw so many people, she became more confident. She pointed at Lin Fan and shouted, "It's him. He hit me. Brother Wei, quickly help me teach him a lesson." When Chen Wei saw Sun Xiaohong's miserable appearance, he was slightly shocked as well. He made a guarantee, saying, "Xiaohong, don't worry. I'll definitely teach him a lesson for you." Then, Chen Wei viciously said to Lin Fan, "Brat, how dare you cause trouble in Yinshan Mall? I have suspicions that you're stealing from Yinshan Mall. Men, arrest him and bring him to the security room. Then, we'll wait for the investigation to be done." Chen Wei's thoughts were very simple. At this moment, there were many people in Yinshan Mall. He definitely couldn't teach Lin Fan a lesson in front of everyone. Otherwise, he would be in trouble. As long as he found a reason to bring Lin Fan to the security room, he would be able to do whatever he wanted to him. Lin Fan glanced at the security guards at the scene, and a strange look appeared on his face. Originally, he had planned to teach the people the other party had called over a lesson. However, these security guards were all from Yinshan Mall. Did that not mean that they were his own employees? At that thought, Lin Fan took out his phone and dialed a string of numbers. Chen Wei saw Lin Fan making a call and said in disdain, "Calling for help? Heh, I'd like to see who'll dare to help someone who caused trouble and stole things in Yinshan Mall." All the security guards stopped their actions of grabbing Lin Fan. They seemed to want to see Lin Fan make a fool of himself. In the meeting room of Yinshan Group's headquarters, the chairman, Song Jifeng, was having a high-level meeting with the company's general manager, director, and other senior executives. At that moment, Song Jifeng's phone vibrated. Song Jifeng frowned slightly. He hated to be interrupted by phone calls during meetings. He picked up his phone and was about to hang up. However, when he saw the caller ID, his pupils shrank slightly. Song Jifeng answered the call without any hesitation. "Hello, Mr. Lin. What's the matter?" Song Jifeng said carefully. "I'm surrounded by dozens of security guards at Yinshan Mall in Qing City. They're saying that I've caused trouble and stole things at Yinshan Mall. They want to take me to the security room." After Lin Fan finished speaking, he immediately hung up the phone. Upon hearing this, a layer of cold sweat appeared on Song Jifeng's forehead. What did he just hear? Lin Fan was stunned to be surrounded by dozens of security guards at Yinshan Mall in Qing City? They even said that he had caused trouble? Stealing? How dare those security guards do that? One must know that Lin Fan owned 51% of Yinshan Group's shares. Not to mention causing trouble, it would be fine even if he wanted to tear down the entire Yinshan Mall. As for stealing? They should not joke around. Even if they gave Lin Fan everything in Yinshan Mall, he would probably not even care. Lin Fan only wanted the shares and dividends. He did not even ask to interfere in the operations of Yinshan Mall. However, this group of security guards actually dared to provoke him. Bastards! A bunch of bastards! Song Jifeng cursed. The senior executives in the meeting room looked at each other. Song Jifeng never answered the phone during a meeting. Today, he made an exception. Moreover, he was so careful when he answered the phone. There was even a hint of flattery in his tone. In the end, Song Jifeng, who had never lost his temper, started to curse. Mr. Lin? Could he be the mysterious man who recently acquired 51% of the group's shares? The executives kept guessing. Song Jifeng, on the other hand, did not care about that. He quickly turned on the laptop in front of him, searched for something, and quickly dialed the number of the general manager of Inshan Mall in Qing City, Zhou Chengjun. After Zhou Chengjun finished his business discussion with his client, he drove directly to the parking lot of Inshan Mall. He was about to return to his office to handle some documents. At this moment, the phone in his pocket rang urgently. He took a casual glance at it. In the next moment, Zhou Chengjun's pupils suddenly shrank, and his heart was beating rapidly. Zhou Chengjun was a very meticulous person. He had already saved all the phone numbers of the company's top executives. At this moment, the call was from the chairman, Song Jifeng. Zhou Chengjun answered the call with great excitement. "Good day, chairman." "Good. Good, my *SS. Zhou Chengjun, how did you become the general manager? Are you doing nothing? You're simply lawless." Song Jifeng roared. Zhou Chengjun did not expect to be scolded. He was stunned for a few seconds before he asked in confusion, "Chairman, I don't quite understand." "You don't understand? Then tell me, why did dozens of security guards at Inshan Mall frame Mr. Lin Fan, the largest shareholder of Inshan Group, for causing trouble and stealing? They even want to capture him." Song Jifeng shouted angrily. Buzz. Zhou Chengjun felt as if a cannonball had exploded right next to his ear. He was completely dumbfounded. Recently, he had heard from some sources that a mysterious person had bought 51% of Inshan Group's shares and become the largest shareholder. Now, the largest shareholder was being framed in the mall he managed and was about to be arrested by the security guards? This was definitely a big deal. This was a huge event. Zhou Chengjun was extremely flustered. "Chairman, there might be a misunderstanding here. I've just come back from a business meeting. I'm going to the mall now to clear things up. Hurry up and go. Remember, you have to satisfy Mr. Lin Fan. Otherwise, humph." Song Jifeng grunted and hung up the phone. Zhou Chengjun, who was originally walking leisurely toward his office in Inshan Mall, did not dare to dally any longer. He quickly sprinted into the shopping center. Due to the high speed, Zhou Chengjun accidentally fell to the ground. However, he did not care about his injured knee. He rolled and crawled, moving forward as fast as he could. In front of KK clothing store. Chen Wei saw that Lin Fan had hung up the phone. More and more people in Inshan Mall were looking in their direction. He felt that he could not delay any longer. Otherwise, it might bring him some unnecessary trouble. Therefore, Chen Wei shouted, "Men, there's no need to wait any longer. Quickly arrest this person who caused trouble and stole things and bring him to the security room. After that, we'll wait for the investigation results." When the security guards heard that, they did not stay back any longer and surrounded Lin Fan. At this time, an angry roar suddenly rang out in the distance. "How dare you! I'll see who dares to make a move." When the security guards heard the familiar voice, they paused. Then, they saw the general manager, Zhou Chengjun, who often sat at the head of the table during meetings, limping over. Chen Wei did not expect that he would alert Zhou Chengjun, and a bad premonition arose in his heart. He hurriedly went up to him and said, "General Manager Zhou, what happened to you? Quickly sit down and rest." Zhou Chengjun did not pay any attention to him. He walked straight ahead and asked carefully, "May I know which one of you is Mr. Lin Fan?" With both hands in his pockets, Lin Fan, who had a relaxed and calm expression the entire time, said, "It's me." Zhou Chengjun looked at Lin Fan's young appearance and was slightly shocked. However, he did not dare to underestimate him. On the contrary, the way he looked at Lin Fan was even more respectful. This was a young man in his 20s who could own 51% of Inshan Group's shares. In that case, there was probably a behemoth that he could not imagine standing behind him. Zhou Chengjun bowed at a 90-degree angle and said, "Mr. Lin, I'm sorry. I didn't manage my employees well and caused you to be pestered by them." When Chen Wei saw this, the bad premonition in his heart became even more intense. He could not help but ask, "General Manager Zhou, is there a misunderstanding? This young man caused trouble in our mall and beat up the daughter of the chairman of Jiaxing Snacks Company. He even stole things." Chen Wei's thoughts were very simple. Jiaxing Snacks Company was a big enterprise that was cooperating with Yinshan Mall. Zhou Changjun would definitely have some reservations. However, it would have been fine if Chen Wei did not mention this, but once he did, Zhou Changjun's heart burned with anger. Zhou Changjun suddenly turned around and said coldly, "Mr. Lin is the biggest shareholder of Yinshan Group. Do you think he'll do what you just said?" Chen Wei's entire body was completely frozen on the spot when he heard this. The biggest shareholder of Yinshan Group. He knew very well what this meant. He had rushed into a dead end. Being the manager of Yinshan Mall gave him a high salary, and it was an easy job. Chen Wei had bragged in front of his family and friends countless times. Now, he was afraid that this big slice of cake would be taken away from him. Chen Wei's heart was filled with endless regret. Step. At this moment, 3 officers walked over from afar. Among them, the tall and thin one said, "Who called the police? What happened here?" Lin Xiaoyao never expected things to turn out this way. The general manager of Yinshan Mall was extremely respectful to Lin Fan. He even said that Lin Fan was the biggest shareholder of Yinshan Group. As a result, Lin Xiaoyao did not answer immediately when the officer asked the question. On the other hand, Pan Zhengyang's eyes lit up when he saw the tall and skinny officer. He said excitedly, "Wang Daming. It's great that you're here." Then, he pointed at Lin Fan. "This guy beat me up for no reason. Quickly arrest him." Pan Zhengyang could tell that Chen Wei was no longer able to teach Lin Fan a lesson today. Just as he was feeling disappointed, he met his high school classmate, Wang Daming. This gave him hope to teach Lin Fan a lesson. At this moment, Lin Xiaoyao also reacted. She quickly said, "Officer, I was the one who called the police. My brother didn't hit him for no reason. They were the ones who hit me first. My brother fought back to protect me." Wang Daming looked in the direction Pan Zhengyang was pointing at. The next moment, his pupils suddenly shrank. It was him. It was actually him. A few days ago, Wang Daming had followed the captain, the leaders, and others to visit the central hospital of Qing City. However, a young man suddenly came to the leader. After that, the leader directly gave up on the tour. After the incident, Wang Daming learned from the captain that the young man's identity was very unusual. In order to treat the man's sick relative, the leader personally extended his help. The next day, the leader even went to the hospital to visit and accompany the mysterious man's family member before he went for the surgery. A big shot. That young man was definitely a big shot. Wang Daming did not expect that he would meet this big shot again so soon. Sun Xiaohong, whose face was as swollen as a pig's head, shouted, "Hurry up and capture him. I'm Sun Xiaohong, the daughter of the chairman of Jiaxing Snacks Company. Did you see what he did to me? As long as you catch him and teach him a lesson, I'll ask my dad to reward you." They wanted him to catch a big shot that even the city leader had to be careful with? Wang Daming's face sank, and he directly took out a pair of handcuffs and cuffed Sun Xiaohong. Pan Zhengyang was stunned for a moment before he said, "Wang Daming, you're cuffing the wrong person. Why are you arresting your buddy's girlfriend? It's that bastard over there who hit us. Hurry up and capture that bastard." Bastard? Did he just call that big shot a bastard? How dare he? Furthermore, he even said that he was arresting his buddy's girlfriend. Would this not make the big shot think that they had a good relationship? Shut up! Wang Daming shouted sternly. Pan Zhengyang, what nonsense are you talking about? We were just ordinary high school classmates. Even if you're my good friend, I can't help you with anything. I'm an officer who maintains justice. Wang Daming pointed at Lin Xiaoyao and said, this lady just said that you hit her first. That's why her brother retaliated. They were just defending themselves. Then, Wang Daming said to Sun Xiaohong seriously, as for you, you're suspected of bribing a public official. We'll be detaining you now. Sun Xiaohong said in a panic, I didn't do that. No? We have video cameras that help us enforce the law. Wang Daming said. After that, he did not say anything more. He grabbed Sun Xiaohong and prepared to walk away. At this moment, Zhou Chengjun, who was standing beside them, said, Hello, officer. I'm Zhou Chengjun, the general manager of Yinshan Mall. I have something to report. As he spoke, Zhou Chengjun pointed at Chen Wei and said, He's the manager of Yinshan Mall, Chen Wei. He took advantage of his position and accepted bribes from Jiaxing Snacks Company. He also placed many of Jiaxing Snacks Company's inferior products for sale at Yinshan Mall. At the same time, he lured the security guards of Yinshan Mall to his personal underground forces. Just a moment ago, Chen Wei even framed this honorable Mr. Lin and tried to use violence, intimidation, and other actions on him. Wang Daming had encountered a lot of corruption and bribery cases. However, Chen Wei actually wanted to use violence and intimidation against Mr. Lin. This was absolutely unforgivable. How dare he? Wang Daming shouted sternly, He's so despicable. Arrest him. Click. Chen Wei, who was handcuffed, felt his entire body go cold. His legs went soft, and he directly knelt on the ground. He knew that he was done for. Very quickly, Chen Wei, Sun Xiaohong, and the security guards were all taken away. Pan Zhengyang was the only one left standing in a daze. He was not taken away. However, he was no less panicked than everyone else. Sun Xiaohong and Chen Wei could be said to have been taken away because of him. If they found out that there were quality issues with Jiaxing Snacks Company's products, then he would be in deep trouble. Pan Zhengyang could not help but shiver at the thought. Zhou Qingjun wanted to treat Lin Fan to a meal to apologize. However, Lin Fan just wanted to get some medicine to apply on Lin Xiaoyao's still red and swollen face. Thus, he rejected her directly. In the Lamborghini. Lin Xiaoyao seemed to have just snapped back to her senses and said excitedly, Brother, when did you learn to fight? The way you taught others a lesson just now was so cool. Lin Xiaoyao's movements were too big when she spoke, so much so that she accidentally pulled her red and swollen face. It hurt so much that her facial muscles started twitching. Don't talk. I'll go buy you some medicine, Lin Fan said. Lin Xiaoyao said, Medicine? I just have to put some ice on it and I'll be fine. In the end, Lin Fan bought Lin Xiaoyao some medicine and an ice pack. The two-pronged approach was extremely effective. When they returned to the central hospital of Qing City, Lin Xiaoyao's face was no longer red or swollen. At that moment, Lin Fan's phone rang. Mr. Lin, I'm really sorry for today. I'll definitely deal with the related personnel of Yinshan Mall and Qing City seriously, Song Jifeng said carefully. There's no need. Zhou Changjun did a good job. However, I don't wish for such a thing to happen again in the future. Yes. Mr. Lin, please rest assured. Song Jifeng heaved a long sigh of relief. After hanging up, Lin Xiaoyao could not help but ask, Brother, are you really the biggest shareholder of Yinshan Mall? That's right. So, in the future, as long as you like clothes, you don't have to care about the price. I, your brother, am not short of money, Lin Fan said. Lin Xiaoyao happily kissed Lin Fan on the cheek and said, Big brother, you're the best. When the two of them arrived at the VIP ward, Lin Tao was walking back and forth in the ward. Meanwhile, Dai Weishue was folding all the clothes and packing them in the luggage. Mom, Dad, what are you doing? Lin Fan asked. I've been in the hospital for a long time, Lin Tao said. In the past 2 days, there have been a few regular customers calling to ask when our clothing store will be open again. We're getting ready to be discharged today. You're being discharged today? Lin Fan said worriedly, Dad, you just had your surgery. You should stay for a few more days. Lin Tao said, "There's no need to." The doctor agreed to let me leave the hospital. If I continue to stay here, this illness will just recover, but I'll have other illnesses. Lin Fan felt that it made sense, so he thought about it and said, "You can leave the hospital, but you don't have to run the clothing store anymore. I'm planning to buy a villa in Qing City or Jiangbei for you to live in," he said. Don't. Our current house is good enough. Why do we need to change to a villa?" Lin Tao waved his hands. "The clothing store doesn't take much effort. It's good to be working. Lil Fan, we know you're doing well now, and you want to be filial to us," Dai Weishua said. "However, your dad and I have lived here our entire lives, and all our acquaintances are here. We won't be able to get used to it if we suddenly move to another place. Also, your dad and I aren't very old. If we really stay at home all day and do nothing, it'll be too boring. So, we won't be moving. The clothing store will still be open. We'll just run it to kill time." Lin Fan said helplessly, "Okay, then. But don't tire yourselves out. Don't save on food and clothes either." "Don't worry." Dai Weishua smiled. For the next 3 days, Lin Fan stayed with his parents on 4th Street. For the past 3 days, Lin Fan opened red packets at noon every day. In addition to the cash he earned from sleeping, breathing, and walking for the past 3 days, he had an extra 3 million. At that moment, the balance on Lin Fan's card had returned to 13.2 million. Today, Lin Fan was driving his Lamborghini on the road back to Jiangbei after the urging of his parents. Lin Tao and Dai Weishua's reason was simple. Lin Fan had been specially recruited to study at Jiangbei University. He could not leave a bad impression on the lecturers, so he could not take such a long leave. If he was expelled because of this, then it would be too late for regrets. Lin Fan could not argue with his parents. In addition, his father's body was really fine now. Therefore, he had no choice but to return to Jiangbei. A few days ago, when Lin Fan came to Qing City, he was extremely anxious. He drove at his fastest speed and arrived in Qing City in a short time. Now that he was returning to Jiangbei, he was traveling at a constant speed. It would take a relatively long time. Lin Fan did not think much of driving a Lamborghini after he got it. However, after driving the car for a long time, he felt that his back was gradually aching. "When I'm free, I'll definitely buy a bigger car," Lin Fan mumbled. When Lin Fan returned to the presidential suite of Jiangbei's Hilton Hotel, it was 12 o'clock sharp. His phone vibrated, and a red packet appeared. Ding! "Congratulations, you've received 5,000 yuan. Ding! Congratulations, you've received 10,000 yuan. Ding! Congratulations, you have received 5 yuan. Ding! Congratulations, you've obtained the skill, Eyes of Truth." It was already 12:01. "When I was in Qing City, all I had was useless cash," Lin Fan said. "But I got a skill the moment I came to Jiangbei. Is Jiangbei my lucky place?" As he spoke, Lin Fan turned his attention to the Eyes of Truth. Eyes of Truth, 1. Ability to see a woman's true appearance, full score 100. Note, appearance is dependent on clothing and life. 2. Ability to see a female's favorability toward the host, full score of 100. Note, choosing a truly beautiful woman and obtaining her heart is what every man should do. Eyes of Truth? Lin Fan repeated. Interesting. On the other hand, Xiao Xia had spent a lot of effort and finally moved all of her brother's things into Washington Palace. Then, she dragged her tired body back home. At this time, his mother, Chen Minfen, came over excitedly and said, "Xia, hurry up and pack up. You're going to meet a guy later." Later. "Mom, another blind date?" Xiao Xia asked helplessly. Chen Minfen saw that her daughter seemed to be a little reluctant, so she said, "This guy is different from Lin Fan. Lin Fan's family is so poor, but this guy's family runs a factory. Furthermore, his family has 2 Mercedes-Benz. At this point, Chen Minfan's face scrunched up due to her wide grin. Xiao Xia mumbled, Lin Fan's family is poor? Then there would be no rich people in this world. Rich people? Xia, what are you saying? How is Lin Fan's family rich? Chen Minfen said. Hence, Xiao Xia roughly explained what had happened a while ago. Chen Minfen immediately said, Xia, you've been tricked by that brat, Lin Fan. How could he have a luxury car and an entire building in Washington Palace? I know their family's situation all too well. You don't know this, but Lin Fan's father fell sick a few days ago and his mother called to borrow money. If Lin Fan's family really has that much money, why would they come to me to borrow money? Xiao Xia could not help but be a little dazed when she heard her mother's words. Lin Fan's mother really wanted to borrow money from you? She asked in disbelief. How could it be fake? As Chen Minfen spoke, she took out her mobile phone and opened her call record. As expected, one of them was Dai Weishua's number. Xiao Xia immediately understood. The Lamborghini was indeed rented by Lin Fan. Also, Lin Fan did not own a building in Washington Palace. He was just asking the employees there to help him put on an act. Lin Fan wasn't a godly tycoon at all. He was a complete pauper. The next day, the sky was clear. Lin Fan lay on the bed in the presidential suite and casually looked at his phone. Notice from Merchant Bank, 730,020 yuan has been deposited into your account. He swiped the message away without a care and played with his phone for a while. Then, he slowly got out of bed and asked the waiter to serve a big meal. After the meal, it was 12 p.m. Lin Fan's phone vibrated. Red packets appeared. Ding. Congratulations, you've received 5 yuan. Ding. Congratulations, you've received 3,000 yuan. Ding. Congratulations, you've received 10,000 yuan. Ding. Congratulations, you've received 3 yuan. 1 minute had passed. Lin Fan received a total of 80,000 yuan. All in cash? Lin Fan's mouth twitched. He rested for a while before driving his Lamborghini to Zhongbei University. In Zhongbei University, even a BMW or Mercedes-Benz that cost 200,000 to 300,000 yuan would attract attention. Not to mention, it was a Lamborghini that was worth tens of millions. The rumbling sound of an engine on the campus immediately attracted the attention of many people. They all took out their phones, secretly took photos, and uploaded them to Tieba and their class group chats. When Lin Fan walked out of the car, the eyes of a few beautiful girls sparkled as they exclaimed in unison, "He's so handsome." He was handsome and rich. He was the perfect male god in their hearts. Lin Fan did not care about that at all. He took out his phone and dialed a string of numbers. Not long after, a man in his 30s with slicked back hair walked over. "You must be Lin Fan, right?" He smiled and greeted. "Yes, I am," Lin Fan replied. "Ha ha ha. I have another handsome young man among my students. I'm your counselor, Sun Yaodong. Let's go. I'll take you to collect your books first, then we'll go to the classroom," Sun Yaodong said. One had to admit that there was a huge difference between a university teacher and a high school teacher. High school teachers were always stern and serious, making the students feel that teachers were elders far above them. University teachers, on the other hand, gave people a more relaxed feeling. As Sun Yaodong walked, he introduced the cafeteria and stadium. He even talked about how to get a girlfriend. Lin Fan could not help but wonder if this was a teacher or a good friend. Not long after, Lin Fan collected his books and went to the classroom. Sun Yaodong pointed at the 3 people sitting in the back row and said, "Lin Fan, these 3 will be your roommates. You guys have to get along well. I still have some things to do, so I'll be leaving first." This chapter's initial release occurred on the N0v3 Elbin site. The 3 of them were very enthusiastic about their new roommate, Lin Fan. "I'm Song Yi. You're not bad, bro. You're tall and handsome. You know how to play basketball, right? The tall and strong man asked. Lin Fan said, I know a little. But I haven't played in a long time. It's fine. You'll get the hang of it as we play. Besides, it's easy to attract girls by playing basketball. Maybe one day, a girl will ask you for your WeChat. Song Yi laughed. The fat man said happily, I thought there were only 3 of us in dorm 104. If that were the case, it wouldn't be a complete college life. Brother, it's great that you're here. By the way, my name is Zheng Jinbao. The man with black-rimmed glasses said, my name is Ma Zhong. His 3 roommates were very enthusiastic. After school, they helped Lin Fan buy his daily necessities and made his bed. They were busy until 8 p.m. Lin Fan wanted to treat them to a feast. However, the 3 of them were all excited to go to their usual place for barbecue, so Lin Fan did not force them. This was a barbecue stall very close to Jiangbei University. The boss was about 40 years old, and his movements were skillful. The meat was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. The portions were large. Zheng Jinbao directly put a skewer of roasted meat into his mouth and said happily, delicious. Song Yi raised his glass and said, Lin Fan, welcome to dorm 104. From now on, the 4 of us are brothers. Today, we won't leave until we're drunk. Right, we won't return until we're drunk. Drunk. Zheng Jinbao shouted. Lin Fan, welcome, Ma Zhong said. Thank you. Lin Fan said as he picked up his glass. Then, the 4 of them drank the alcohol in one go. Song Yi said, hey, Lin Fan, your alcohol tolerance is pretty good. Come, have another one. Lin Fan did not reject the offer and drank another glass. Then, the 2 of them continued to drink. Not long after, Song Yi hiccuped, and his entire face became as red as a tomato. On the other hand, Lin Fan seemed to have just drunk a few bottles of mineral water. There was no change at all. Zheng Jinbao was surprised, Lin Fan, your alcohol tolerance is so good. I'll have a go with you. After a few glasses, Lin Fan still showed no reaction. Zheng Jinbao's head was already a little dizzy. He poked Ma Zhong's stomach and said, don't just think about eating. Drink with Lin Fan too. Ma Zhong put down the skewers and said, Lin Fan, let's drink together too. Originally, Lin Fan wanted to advise them to drink less. However, they were in the mood and could not stop drinking. Therefore, Lin Fan did not try to persuade them any further. After all, they were all young people. If they drank too much, they could go back and lie down for a night. The next day, they would definitely be alive and kicking again. When Zheng Jinbao, Ma Zhong, and Song Yi had drunk so much that their heads were spinning and they were about to fall to the ground, Lin Fan's expression remained the same as usual. He casually threw a skewer into his mouth. Just then, Xiao Xia, who had just finished eating with a client, happened to pass by. She looked at Lin Fan who was drinking and eating at the roadside stall. She stopped in her tracks and sneered, Lin Fan, why are you eating at a roadside stall? Yesterday, when Chen Minfen said that Lin Fan's family was very poor, Xiao Xia still had a trace of suspicion. At this moment, she had completely thrown the doubt to the back of her mind. If Lin Fan really had a Lamborghini and an entire building in Washington Palace, why would he eat roadside barbecue? It was impossible. The only answer was that Lin Fan had always been a poor loser. What does it have to do with you what I eat? Lin Fan frowned. Lin Fan really hated this self-righteous and vain woman. Now that she was using a mocking tone to speak to him, Lin Fan naturally would not be nice to her. Xiao Xia sneered and said, it's indeed none of my business. However, I want to tell you something. A person should do as much as they can with their abilities. Puffing one's chest up will only make one look ugly. Back then, when Xiao Xia found out that Lin Fan owned a Lamborghini and owned a building in Washington Palace, she was extremely regretful. In fact, she even cried herself to sleep in the days after that. Now, after Chao Xia said these words, she felt extremely comfortable and at ease. She was happy that she was wise back then and was not deceived by a poor loser. Then, Chao Xia raised her neck and strode forward. Lin Fan looked at her back view and pouted. She has a problem. Then, he patted the three people who were completely drunk and said, "Can you still walk? Let's go back to the dormitory to rest." The next day. The sun was shining brightly. Lin Fan was lying on his bed, playing with his phone. He would occasionally look at the sparrows that were flying around by the window. At this moment, Mahjong slowly opened his eyes. He rubbed his dizzy head and said in a hoarse voice, "Brothers, it's time to wake up." "All right," Lin Fan replied and immediately got up from the bed. "Lin Fan, I rarely admire anyone," Zheng Jinba said. "However, I have to say that I admire you. Yesterday, we drank a lot of beer, right? You actually got the three of us drunk, but you were completely fine." Lin Fan would naturally be fine. It was because he could drink 1,000 glasses without getting drunk. "Lin Fan, are you from the Northeast? You can drink so much," Song Yi said. "Northeast?" Lin Fan laughed. "I'm from Qing City." "All right, hurry up and get up." The few of them hesitated for a while before finally getting out of bed. It had to be said that it was good to be young. When they had just woken up, Zheng Jinbao, Mahjong, and Song Yi were still extremely dizzy and lightheaded. However, after breakfast, the three of them were full of energy again. In the morning, the old professor was teaching a mathematical theory class. Zheng Jinbao and Song Yi were drowsy listening to it. Mahjong was a good student. He listened to the class seriously and kept taking notes. Lin Fan would listen to the class and flip through his books. After the bell rang, Mahjong said, "Lin Fan, you just came to class. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me." He noticed that when Lin Fan was in class, he did not really listen to the class but kept flipping through the book. This was why he thought that Lin Fan did not understand. However, Mahjong did not know that the reason why Lin Fan was not listening to the class was not that he did not understand. It was because he felt that it was too simple. That's right. Mahjong isn't very good in other aspects, but he's pretty good in his studies, Zheng Jinba yawned and said. "What do you mean by not good in other aspects?" Mahjong protested. "Then, shall we make a trip to the clubhouse tonight?" Zheng Jinbao chuckled. Mahjong's entire face instantly turned red. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. "All right, if we continue to chat, we won't even be able to squeeze into the cafeteria later," Song Yi interrupted. One had to admit that the cafeteria of Jiangbei University was very different from Lin Fan's high school. Lin Fan's high school cafeteria was similar to fast food restaurants. However, the cafeteria of Jiangbei University was completely different. Crock soup, roast goose rice, stir-fries, roasted meat, ramen, and so on. There was a wide variety of dishes. The students of Jiangbei University also loved to eat, and there were long lines everywhere. It was now 12 p.m. Lin Fan's phone vibrated. A red packet had appeared. Lin Fan took advantage of the free time in the queue to tap on the screen. Ding! Congratulations, you've received 5 yuan. Ding! Congratulations, you've received 1,000 yuan. Ding! Congratulations, you've received 10,000 yuan. Ding! Congratulations, you've received 3 yuan. Ding! Congratulations, you've obtained professional basketball technique. When he opened the last red packet, it was already 12:01 p.m. At this moment, it was Lin Fan's and the others' turn to choose the dishes. Lin Fan and the other 3 were all young men. They chose a lot of meat of many types. They all ate happily. "I don't have any classes this afternoon," Song Yi said. "I'm playing basketball with a few friends. Lin Fan, you should come along." Lin Fan thought that since he did not have anything to do in the afternoon and he had just received the professional basketball technique, he could use this opportunity to try it out. When Lin Fan thought about this, he nodded and said, "Okay." Song Yi put his hand on Lin Fan's shoulder and said happily, "What a good lad." Then, he recalled that Lin Fan had said that he had not played basketball for a long time. "Don't worry," he said. "Our skills aren't that great. We just play casually." After lunch, Zheng Jinbao went back to the dormitory to sleep while Mai Zhong went to the library. Song Yi and Lin Fan bought a bottle of energy drink each and went to the basketball court. At that moment, there were already 4 men in jerseys waiting on the basketball court. A tanned, tall man greeted from afar, "Song Yi, you're finally here. Let me introduce him to you. This is our new friend, Lin Fan. He hasn't played basketball in a long time. Don't play too fiercely later," Song Yi said. "All right," the other man said. "No problem." The other 4 nodded. Then, according to the rules of street basketball, they divided the teams according to the spinning basketball. Very quickly, Lin Fan and the relatively thin men wearing the number 1 and number 3 jerseys were placed on the same team. The 2 men looked at the divided teams, their faces full of bitterness and helplessness. Their skills were not very good, and they did not have an advantage in height. And now, Lin Fan, who had not played for a long time, was added to the mix. The 2 of them could already see the scene of them being beaten to a pulp. Song Yi, the tan man, and the tall and strong man were the exact opposite. The 3 of them looked at each other, and their faces almost bloomed with smiles. "Don't worry, we'll just be playing casually." Very quickly, Song Yi took the ball and passed it to the tall and strong man. The tall and strong one then passed it to the big tan one. Then, the tan man quickly dribbled the ball for a layup. Swish! The basketball entered the net and scored. In the next round, number 1 kicked off and he was quickly followed by the tall and strong one. Helplessly, he could only pass the ball to number 3. After number 3 dribbled the ball for a while, it was intercepted by the big, tan guy. Then, the tan man dribbled the ball again and made a quick layup. Swish! Another goal. In the third round, number 1 started the game again. He saw that number 3 was being closely marked by the big, tan guy. Helpless, he passed the ball to Lin Fan. Song Yi, who was standing not too far away from Lin Fan, chuckled. "Lin Fan, I'm going to be on guard against you. You have to be careful." As he spoke, he walked toward Lin Fan unhurriedly. Whoosh! However, before Song Yi could get close, Lin Fan's ball was like a gust of wind, quickly passing in front of him. The tall and strong man raised his brows and hurriedly stopped him. Lin Fan did not care at all. He feinted and dodged the ball. The tan man quickly gave up on number 3 and came to stop him. However, it was too late. Swish! Lin Fan made a 2-step layup and the ball entered the basket easily. Score! All right. Number 1 and number 3 both shouted happily. "Lin Fan, your skills aren't bad," Song Yi said in surprise. "They're all right." Lin Fan smiled. The street basketball match continued. The tall and strong man kicked the ball off. He was tightly guarded by number 1 and had to pass it to Song Yi. Song Yi laughed. "Lin Fan, you were really fast just now. Come and see if you can steal my ball." Smack! When Lin Fan heard that, he raised his hand and smacked the basketball. The basketball landed in his hands. Song Yi was stunned. That was right. He said he would let Lin Fan try to snatch the ball from him, but he did not ask Lin Fan to be so fast. However, Lin Fan did not care so much. He turned around and quickly dribbled the ball, going for a layup. Swish! He scored again. Good shot! Number 1 and number 3 shouted in excitement. "Lin Fan, are you sure you haven't played basketball for a long time?" Song Yi was stunned. Lin Fan nodded. Sonny thought, if this is considered as not playing basketball for a long time, then what about my skills? Have I never played basketball before?
Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and see you in the next chapter.